Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. The day after a Game 1 win for the Toronto Raptors, and they played great defense, but the Warriors role players didn't really show up. The Splash Brothers kind of did their thing, but I would say every other Warrior in uniform could have performed better offensively. What do they need to do to get other players involved in Game 2?
They just don't have the depth that they used to have. So they got to get back to getting stops. See, we got so enamored with the Golden State Warriors offense, and rightfully so. The Splash Brothers, raining threes. This isn't that team that surrounds the three-point line with 4 or 5 guys that's shooting 38% from three. This isn't that team.
No.
The Toronto Raptors shot 50% from the floor. They won the battle in the paint. They also made more threes than the Warriors. They got to defend better. Everybody's going to talk so much about offense.
It's a good point.
Pascal Siakam had his way. They doubled, they tripled Kawhi Leonard. He kicked it to Marc Gasol a couple of times in the first quarter. He was so wide open, he pump fake, he hesitated. He like, wait a minute, 17 to go on the clock. Should I shoot this? All right, I'll let it go. They attempted more threes in the first quarter, Toronto did, than any postseason game this year. They were that wide open. They attempted 14. In the second quarter, they only attempted 5 and scored 9 more points in the second quarter because they started to mix up their game, drive the ball to the basket. So the Golden State Warriors got to have a level of effort, a level of tenacity that Draymond Green talked about in the postgame. Yes, the offense and the shots are going to come and go. But if you look at the points, Steph Curry, good game. Klay Thompson, average game. Draymond Green, below average game. And nobody else brought them anything of substance. All of the people have to play a lot better in Game 2 if they're going to come up with a win.
We will preview Game 2 shortly, but first we're going to get to some very interesting reports out of Houston. Mike D'Antoni, last we heard, they were working on a contract extension. Seemed like they were going to firm up a little deal where they had Mike D'Antoni as the head coach of the Rockets for a few more years. Well, Mike D'Antoni has reportedly backed out of the negotiations. And one thing I found really interesting is that he was being offered a performance-based contract. Jalen, why would Mike D'Antoni back out, and why would the Rockets offer a performance-based contract? And he's only got 1 more year on his contract. And also, the other news is that the Rockets have put up the entire roster available for trade. What is happening in Houston?
Jay-Z and Too Short tried to tell us it was all good just a week ago. Here's the deal. Mike D'Antoni has proven to be a really good NBA coach. So many players have ascended and put up big-time numbers and achieved things they probably would not have done if he was not their head coach when he had them. I'm thinking back to Steve Nash and his back-to-back MVPs and how really in the modern day, he was the first guy that would do the pick and roll and then probe and go underneath the basket and dribble it back out to the other side. And then you had a guy like Sean Marion who played a lot of small forward, and then Mike D'Antoni moved him to the 4. And then you had Amari Stoudemire at the 5, and then it was 7 seconds or less. That was his style of play. We've seen James Harden excel, go from really being a shooting guard to now the primary ball handler. The most unique offensive weapon that the game has seen, because he'll lead the league at different points of his career in three-pointers made, free throws made. And so why has that now translated into championship productivity? So now as an organization, you got to sit back and say, Chris Paul has a big contract that we may or may not be able to use, may or may not be able to move. Clint Capella is a young player that has shown promise, but he's come up small in the playoffs the last couple of years. Tucker's an asset. I want to keep him on my team. I love what he brings, the tenacity. Eric Gordon, knockdown shooter. I can trust what he's going to bring. But we're not meeting our goal. I brought all these guys in to contend with the Golden State Warriors. That's where the performance-based part comes in. I'm seeing all of these individual accolades and all of these regular season wins, but when it matters the most, we're not really able to diversify what we do in order to get over the hump. And especially disappointing the way they lost to the Golden State Warriors without Kevin Durant. So you bring in Mike D'Antoni and say, you got a long track record, and we believe in you as a coach, but let's have some benchmarks here. Regular season wins, advance past the first round, advance past the second round, get to the NBA Finals, win the NBA championship. And Mike D'Antoni like, wait a minute, I'm a vet. I ain't trying to do that.
That's what I'm saying.
I want to get my guaranteed money, just like Luke Walton just got guaranteed money before he really even got fired from the Lakers.
To me, if you're a head coach of a basketball team, it's like, commit to me as the head coach of the basketball team, but don't give me these little hurdles that I have to get over with regular season wins. What if James Harden gets injured? Now, because of James Harden getting injured, I'm not going to get my bread. There's only so much I can control as the head coach. It's one thing if it's like, hey, you get a bonus on top of your guarantee if you guys go here, here, here. But it seemed like this was structured in a different way, which to me kind of seemed like a non-offer, and it feels like D'Antoni might have been disrespected by it. Do you think that's the right read?
I don't believe it's a non-offer, and I don't see it as disrespect. I see it as, we believe in you, but we need to see if you're going to take us to the next level. Shout to Masai Ujiri. Let me school you guys. Daryl Morey is kind of taking a page from his book. Dwayne Casey was coach of the year. The NBA does a terrible job of announcing it June 24th, so we kind of forget what happened throughout the regular season. And so now all of a sudden, he's accepting the award at the NBA Awards, and he's already gotten fired by the Toronto Raptors and hired by the Detroit Pistons. And they were the #1 seed. DeMar DeRozan, all-star player, 20-plus point scorer, put on for Toronto while he was here. But if we can get Kawhi Leonard, we're going to take it to the next level. So now that's the quandary that Daryl Morey has. Have we hit our ceiling with Mike D'Antoni and James Harden as our best player? Because Harden's going to be there. Now the rest of the roster, that remains to be seen.
We will see what happens with the Rockets, but right now it's time for News That Matters. While the people in the sports world are hard at work covering and playing in the NBA Finals, there are some people that are not. Like Dwayne Wade. Let's check in on Dwayne Wade on vacation on the boat. One glass of wine, another glass of wine, gets that down, and then he goes to the bottle of wine to chug that afterwards. Jalen, what do you think about the glass bottle threesome?
I love it. First off, you know we support power couples. Shout to him and Gabby Union, always seeming to be living their best lives. Here's what I have to say about what Dwayne Wade did in that footage. It's kind of what most adults do actually when they're drinking. It's just they don't post it on social media. He's retired.
He's retired.
And he got millions.
You're working hard covering the finals, but I always know that you always set a little time aside for yourself and your lovely wife during the summer. What do you have for vacation plans?
So I'm looking back and forth at some emails that Molly's doing with a travel agent. And I'm looking like, this is gonna cost me $10,000. This is gonna cost me $15,000. Wait, this might cost me $25,000. I might need to respond to some of these emails. I'm looking, I see Dubai, I see Bali. I'm like, are we gonna connect in Thailand? I'm like, wait.
Well,
we need places to stay in each of those locations.
Wherever you guys
we're gonna have some big time vacations.
Wherever you guys end up, I know that you guys will be looking good because you guys, when you go on vacation, I've seen you do a little matching couples on vacation before. And so we got a little looking for you guys. See, look, we got you guys the Versace Mansion outfits with the Andre Iguodala vest. Because the Andre Iguodala vest is about to sweep. The Andre Iguodala vest is taking over the world of fashion. The NBA Finals take over the show. Jalen and Jacoby is coming to you live from Pier 17 in the South Street Seaport District of Manhattan and brought to you by Heineken. Jalen, we have some new information that Chris Haynes of Yahoo Sports is saying, but the Warriors have not yet confirmed that KD will maybe return in Game 3, likely return in Game 4. That's going to change the series a lot. Do you think that KD being added in Game 4 will be enough to give the Warriors a better chance of winning this series?
Well, having Kevin Durant on your roster is always a great thing, especially when you're going to play alongside the Splash Brothers and Draymond Green. So if he's able to come back later in the series, say Game 4 or say Game 5, and it's already tied 2-2, it's going to be interesting in who wins the best of 3. That's why if you're the Toronto Raptors, you got to get as many games in your pocket as possible before he actually returns. And they look really confident. They have home court advantage, and that's what makes Game 2 really important for them to try to secure.
Yeah, I think the impending return of KD actually puts a lot of pressure on both teams because the Raptors need to get these games won without KD, and the Warriors don't want to fall in a hole while they're working KD back from injury. So what adjustments do you expect the Warriors to make as we head into Game 2?
Well, initially it's with Draymond Green. And you look at the numbers, the triple-doubles was there, but he only was 2 for 9. They're going to need more offense from him. He talked about it. Put 105 on the board. And then you look at the Golden State Warriors roster and think about it. Who's going to get you plus 30 possibly? Maybe Clay, definitely Steph. Who's going to get you 15 plus? Possibly Draymond. That don't add up. Okay, so now all of a sudden they're gonna need Andre Iguodala to get them points. Can McKinney contribute? Can Looney contribute? But also for Draymond, he gotta play better defense on Pascal Siakam. He mentioned it in the post-game conference. He came out a week or so ago and said he's the best defender to ever do it. And then in his first finals game, Pascal Siakam had 32 points. So, and 14 of 17. He made 11 consecutive field goals at some point during the game. So you have to find a way to shut his water off.
What's one more thing you expect the Warriors to adjust heading into Game 2?
You got to find ways to get to Marc Gasol and not leave him so very uncontested for open jump shots. You got to do a late contest. You got to run at him. He's proven that he can make the shot. They struggled in the previous series against Myers Leonard. He was knocking down shots, putting up big-time points. And the other thing, Fred VanVleet, coming in off the bench, does a terrific job of guarding, in particular Steph Curry, but he also got his offense going. Danny Green scored 10-plus points. So the Warriors have to play better defense collectively.
Jalen, before we end the show, I want to challenge you with something. You said that you were going to crowd surf in Jurassic Park. You played for the Raptors. You've been feeling the love from the city, but you didn't want to mess up your hair. Jalen, sacrifice for the good of the city. Sacrifice for the entertainment of the fans. Give the people what they want, and on wax, commit to a Jurassic Park crowd surf.
Here's what I'll do. Soon as countdown ends at 9 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to rush down there, and I'm going to crowd surf before Game 2. It's going to happen.
We have that to look forward to. Thank you so much for tuning in to Jalen and Jacoby. We'll be back.